Alright, so I was gonna go over a little something new I got in the quiver. Still shooting the Nitrum. Let's see, Mayhem Hunters, and I've been shooting slick tricks. Killed 3 deer with them this year, and now one thing I tell you about them slick tricks is they are a good broadhead. They will kill deer. They'll put deer down. The only complaint I have with them at all, I mean, they fly great out of my bow when it's paper tuned. They fly just like a field point out of my bow, paper tuned. It's just now, like I said, I've killed 3 deer with them. Lung shots. I had one quartered and went through the heart, caught the lungs, and none of them produced a whole lot of a blood trail, even though they were, right behind the leg shots. And I know everything's different on that. I know you may or may not hit a certain artery one time or another, and it'll even look like you hit the deer in the same place, and one will produce a lot better blood trail than the other. But I shot a 4th deer with one, maybe the week before last, or maybe it was last week. I ain't positive. I hunt a lot. But anyway, I could see it, caught it right in there behind the shoulder. I didn't find the deer, so I can't tell you exactly where that one ended up hitting, on the deer. But, there was, my whole arrow, it was as red as arrows you ever seen. I mean, it looked spray painted bright red. All the way from here, halfway up to all the fletchings, everything. I mean, it was just solid red. The only reason the bottom half wasn't red is because that's how far it went down in the dirt. So, it went down the dirt and knocked the blood off of it. So it was definitely a solid hit, a kill shot. Should have had a pretty good trail. Ain't no doubt in my mind that deer's dead, because it just, what happens is the woods I hunt so thick here, a lot of times out of tree stand we can't see over 40, 50 yards, sometimes not even that far. And if they get to running, you can't see where they run very far. And they'll run up to a bed or something really thick and get up under it. A lot of times they'll try to run to a bed if they can make it. And if you don't have a somewhat decent blood trail, it can be awful tricky, figuring out which way they ran after they got out of your line of sight or whatever. So, without a doubt, I know that deer's dead, but I didn't retrieve it. It had I'd say a little bit, a pretty good blood trail, Actually, I would say it was that great, but where I actually hit the deer, there was blood splattered everywhere. The arrow was covered, and I seen 5-10 yards good blood. Then after that, I just didn't see much. It got dark after I'd shot it and waited, and so I was trying to use a flashlight and all to track it. And then I went out the next morning too, and there just wasn't nothing. I mean, of course, what I had found had dried up, so dries brown about like the leaves, so that's awful hard. So anyway, the last deer I said, well, I'm gonna just try something else, just see what I get, cause it can't hurt, as long as you're making good shots on the deer. As a hunter, that's really all you can do if you want to try a new product. Can't worry about is it gonna work or not work unless you just automatically feel like it's not going to, so. Like I said, I'm not, y'all have heard me talk about before, I'm not a big mechanical guy. I've shot them in the past, but I also said it's not something I won't ever try. So that being said, this last one, I shot one of these, G5 T3. And this was this week. Yeah, I believe it was this week that I killed that deer, but near the beginning of the week. And you know, I seen it hit it right behind the shoulder, and that deer, when I hit it, man, it looked like it was wobbling around in circles, drunk for a minute, and then it got behind a few bushes, thick trees, bushes, and I guess just fell over. So it didn't make it far at all. It couldn't even run. But I put a heart shot on that deer too. But one thing I'll say about this broadhead, man, is the blood trail was just, I mean, I've shot rage broadheads and I've seen some good mechanical blood trails, and this is up there with any of them. I mean, it was super thick. It was just all the way from where that deer ran, took any steps, there was just thick blood. Just, I mean, looked like it was pouring out. And like I said, I know it's where you hit them, but anyway, just something new I thought I'd try, and of course I found that deer. It wasn't hard at all. So these T3s, you know, they're different than, say, a Spitfire or a Grim Reaper because the blades slide back. They got these little retaining clips, and they slide back when you hit the deer, and are more of a rear deploying style than say like a Spitfire or a Grim Reaper's over the top style broadhead, where they actually flip back, which I like because I think the rear deploying, any mechanical you use, when it expands, it's going to use extra energy, but I think the rear deploying cuts back on the wasted energy a little bit. It helps for penetration. And then of course it's all steel. I love all steel broadheads. I mean, for some reason they'll just penetrate a little better, and they're just tough. And so anyway, G5 T3. I've only shot one deer with it. I'm not, you know, well acquainted with it, but I'm gonna keep shooting them and see what happens. So far, man, I've had real good results, and something I'd recommend. You know. So all right, I'll let y'all later.